Hi, I'm Natalie Ledwell and this is The Inspiration Show. Now today what I wanted to do is actually share a video that I recorded a little while ago, which is going to be a regular segment here on the show. Now I mentioned in the first episode how the responses that we received from our survey sparked the idea to put The Inspiration Show on. So what was interesting was how the same questions kept popping up all the time, just asked hundreds of different ways. Like for example, one of the questions that came in was, how can I keep my eye on the goal when a lot of negative stuff keeps popping up? Well, you know, that's a great valid question. I get that question a lot. But then I also got, how do you keep motivated when it seems not to be working? How can I keep my focus in the light of imminent failure? How can I stay on track? I start out really upbeat, but then I don't see results. How do you stay focused despite setbacks? And how do you keep believing when for months things don't happen? So as you can see, it's the same question, just asked many different ways. So I had the idea of interviewing passionate, inspirational people and to ask them the same 5 questions, or the five most popular questions that we got from the survey. Now some of these people you may recognise, like my guest today, and some are just ordinary people who have overcome extraordinary events in their lives to live a life of passion and purpose, and they have some amazing stories and amazing insights to share with us. So my guest today is actually the man who inspired me to create this show, Mr. Gary Vaynerchu. Now you might recognise him from his video blog Wine Library TV. I don't think it's actually going anymore, but he has a new app out called The Daily Grape. Now he's a 35-year-old New York Times bestseller and Wall Street Journal bestseller. He's also a self-trained wine and social media expert. Now at 8 years old, he was actually operating 7 lemonade stands in his neighbourhood, and at 10 he moved on to selling baseball cards at the local malls. So do you think this guy was just born an entrepreneur? I think so. Now in high school, he worked at the family liquor store, and he taught himself about wine appreciation by tasting those things that were described as flavours in the wines. So for example, if he was looking at a wine and it said it had grassy notes, he would eat grass and then taste the wine. Or if it said it had earthy tones, he would eat dirt and then taste the wine. And this is how he taught himself appreciation. I've actually even seen him suck a sweaty sock, because someone has described that as a flavour in one of the wines. So he's very dedicated. Now, in 1997, he actually recognised the importance of the internet and took his family liquor store. Now, in 1997, it was doing $3 million, and in 2005, he grew it to a $45 million business. Amazing. Now, I've actually seen Gary speak on stage, and he is one of the most passionate people I have ever seen speak on stage, which made him a perfect candidate for this segment. Now, I must warn you that the more excited he gets, the more colourful his language becomes, but his message is directly from the heart. Now, I actually recorded this video with him when I was on a Summit Series cruise. So it's a little bit noisy, but you can hear him loud and clear, and his message is amazing. Now, he's actually appeared on the Jimmy Fallon show, Late Night with Conan, Ellen, numerous other shows, and now The Inspiration Show. So enjoy, and I'll see you soon. Hi everyone, I'm Natalie Ledwell and this is The Inspiration Show. Now today I have a very special guest and someone I'm really pleased to and honoured to be introducing to you. Now this guy is actually a New York Times bestseller, and it was after I read his book Crush It that I had the whole idea for The Inspiration Show, and part of the reason why we're here. So I would like to introduce to you Mr. Gary Vaynerchu. How are you? You can say hello.
Hey everybody. Thanks for having me on the show, and thank you. To hear that something I did to inspire stuff is incredible, so thank you.
Great. All right. Now, you live a very successful life, and a life that, and you're very passionate about what you do.
Yes.
Now, I'm assuming that it wasn't always an easy road. What is your background, and what actually got you to this point now?
You know, I guess it's funny to say, is it an easy road or is it not, right? I mean, on paper, it's not an easy road, right? I was not born in America. My family immigrated from the Soviet Union. It was super difficult. We lived in a studio apartment with 8 family members. Everything was hard and tough and difficult. And so I grew up as an immigrant. And we didn't have a lot of stuff, and I had to buy my own video games and all that difficult stuff. But at the same token, you know, and then I got involved in my family's liquor store business. My dad eventually bought a small store, and I launched a website in 1997, winelibrary.com, and built it to a $60 million a year business, and then started a wine video show. that became very successful in the States. And then I wrote a book about how I did that, which inspired this video show and many others. And so, yeah. So I'm a real entrepreneur. And let me explain what a real entrepreneur is. I swear to you and to every person behind that camera right this second, while I'm on this beautiful boat and have so many good things going for me, that if I lost everything, all of it, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, not as a father, not as a husband, but from an entrepreneurial standpoint, that would excite me. Right? Because it would allow me to show everybody how good I am. Because I would rebuild it. And when you're a real entrepreneur, the game matters more than the actual products that come out of it. Money is shit.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I have a very strong feeling that everything is easy because I loved it. On paper, it might sound hard, and there was a lot of hard stuff, and I didn't have a vacation for 11 years, and I worked from 7 in the morning to 11 p.m. at night from the age of 21 until the age of 28 with 2 days off a year. I mean, it's hardcore. Like, I'm not as healthy as a lot of people here because they've been able to have more work-life balance and all that, but I loved it. I live and breathe it. And I think anybody who's watching right now who's making excuses, well, other people have it easier or this, or who don't love the process, who can't wait to get the stuff, can't wait to get the big jewelry and the boats and all that bullshit, they're not real entrepreneurs, and they're ultimately not going to win at the highest level, because unless you love the game, it's very difficult.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you on that. Now, what we'll often find is when I listen to people's stories, it's often fine threads, opportunities that arise or little moments that happen that actually get you to this point where you are now.
Okay.
What were those points for you? What were those events?
I had several different events, but the one that's probably most relevant to this time is there's a guy in my life by the name of Eric Kastner, who was my lead computer developer, and we sat this close because we had a very small office, and he showed me the web in 2004 and 5, and I realized it was changing. It was becoming less analytical. It's not about creating SEO and a landing page and converting them when they land and all this bullshit. It's about actually communicating and engaging with consumers. And when the web became more social, that's when I activated. Because what you know, and you've seen on screen probably, and you probably know, is I'm a big people person.
Yes.
And people currency is something I understand very well. And when I saw the web starting to create that dynamics for that to scale through Twitter and Facebook and other things, that's when I started getting interested. And so I would say the really interesting moment, which is super underrated, it's not about my parents who are a huge influence on me, it's about a gentleman by the name of Eric Kastner who sat next to me who said, hey, have you seen blogs? And why are you using Yahoo to search? You should use Google. Hey, you see this thing YouTube? And I was like, what is going on? Wow. Opened up my eyes to things. Then my natural business skills kicked in, intuition, and most of all, execution. Talk is cheap. I don't give a shit about your ideas, to be honest with you. We all got ideas. You think you got some idea that nobody's ever thought of? No such thing. Promise. Ideas are horse shit. Execution is the game. And so that's kind of what I focus on, executing.
Well, that kind of leads into my next question as well, because success doesn't just happen. Like we all know, there are certain habits that we have or things that we do day to day that keep us focused on track. So what are some of those things that you do on a day-to-day basis?
One thing. I remember where I come from. I'm completely driven by only one thing. Gratitude. That's it. That's it. I'm just very aware of where I was born, which is a very difficult country. I am very aware of the opportunity I've been given. I'm very aware of the DNA that I've been gifted. The ridiculous work ethic my dad had, the amazing mothering my mother had, and so I'm driven by gratitude.
Awesome.
I'm just grateful.
Great answer.
Thanks.
Now, I often get a lot of emails from people who are finding it very difficult when they're in the situation, when they're in the bad situation, to be able to think outside of or see the light. For example, a lot of people find it difficult to think of and imagine or visualize abundance when they don't have money to pay the bills.
Yes.
So what kind of advice would you have for them?
The richest friends I have are miserable.
Really?
I think that, yes, listen, I hate when people that have stuff tell people that don't have stuff, like, you gotta, like, I get it. I have no interest in being a hypocrite. I have no feel for how much you guys know who I am or what I'm about. But let me promise you this. I have more money right now than I've ever had, and I'm not as happy as I've ever been. I'm very happy. Crazy. But when I was building Wine Library in 2006, and nobody knew what it was, Wine Library TV, and I did, I was happier then, professionally, because I was like sitting on something that I knew would stun my whole industry. That really was a passion of mine. So, you know, I would say this. There are some people who live without clean water, right? There are people that, I mean, there's really an exceptional amount, my percentage of people that have it way worse than you. So great, you're not rich. And maybe even have big loans and it's, you know, adding up, and I get it. But the fact of the matter is, there's people who live in countries where they're being killed every day, they don't have water. It's all context. Yep. There's an ungodly amount of people that have it better than me on paper. And there's an ungodly amount that have it worse than me. Way more worse than me. I think perspective is very important. It's easier said than done. I hope you can get to a place mentally where you can start trying to figure out how to put yourself. It's a defense mechanism. When things go bad for me, when I lose money professionally or an opportunity, I go to a defense mechanism, and it's always this. Professionally, I want to buy the New York Jets, which is a sports franchise in the Americas. Every time I think about something bad happening, I always make pretend that I just bought them, and I'm very in tune with my feelings, and I always make pretend that I bought them, and then I make pretend I get a phone call that my mom died. And I ask myself how I feel, and I feel terrible. And so it makes me really understand very quickly what I really care about. I would tell you that, you know, it's always easy to look at what you don't have. I think it's super duper important to understand what you do have in comparison to what so many other people don't. And so, you know, I don't want to preach from a place where I've got stuff of like, oh, you've got it great, but I can tell you, I've got a friend who makes $21,000 a year and has $100,000 worth of college debt, who is so lucky because he's wired in a way that he's dramatically happier than 99% of the people on this boat. It's not in the math of dollars and cents. It's just not. It's just not.
Okay. I have one final question for you. If you were to share just, and it might be hard to narrow this down to one, but if you were to be able to share one actionable step that people can take to make a difference in their life, what would that step be?
So I think always in the context of business. So this is a business tactic, black and white tactic. I believe that social media is creating the biggest culture shift we've ever seen, and people are coming together in a way we've never seen before. It's small town rules, right? Small town rules. And so I would tell you this. I very much believe, whether you're in Australia, the Philippines, America, I don't care where you are, that the single most important website right this second on the internet is search.twitter.com. And that if you were to go to search.twitter.com and spend 10 hours a day, stick with me, because if you do an hour, you're going to get 1 hour results. And if you do 10 hours, you'll get 10 hours results. And the reason I'm doing this is I always equate it to push-ups. I can read about push-ups, and I can do 5 push-ups a day, and I'll get 5 push-up results, which is why I have 5 push-up results. But if I was to do 500 push-ups, I saw some dude just walk by, he does 500 push-ups, he gets 500 push-up results. If you were to put results into listening instead of talking, and I'm going to promise you something right now because I can feel it in my bones, I know that 95% of you are worried about what to say. Maybe more. I'm trying to be nice. Probably 99. People need to start listening more. If you go to search.twitter.com and search terms, whether it's your business, your name, your genre, and watch what people are talking about, and reply them, and start working the collective world like a cocktail party instead of what I'm doing now, which is giving a presentation, that will lead to enormous financial opportunity, especially if you understand that you're not trying to close the sale on the first move. You know, don't try to sell something or sign them up for your product or sign them up for my wine newsletter on the first move. Build a relationship. Treat everything like you want to do business with them 80 years from now, not for the next 15 minutes. I fundamentally believe that's the right way to do business. And the most established way to keep a sustainable business that isn't a fly-by-night business, because when you don't create lifetime value, your business will go away very quickly.
Very good. Well, I know I know Wine Library TV is not being shown anymore, but you now have the new app, which is the Daily Grape.
Daily Grape.
So if anyone wants to find out some more information about you,
the easiest thing for everybody watching this is so easy to remember. Go to facebook.com/Gary. Gary. Mainly I wanted to say that because I wanted to brag that I am /Gary.
I'm thinking, how did you get that?
But second of all, that's a very easy place for you to remember. Come and say hello, and I'd love to come and say hello back. And I appreciate you listening. I hope something broke through. You know your reality. I'm not going to preach. But remember this last thing. Everything you do online right now is building your legacy. Your grandkids are going to know exactly who you are. So don't go for the quick cash move. Legacy is greater than currency. You're going to wake up one day, you want to be proud about the way you made your money.
Thank you so much for your time. And guys, remember to live large, choose courageously, and love without limits. I'll speak to you soon. Thanks for watching this video. Now before you go, do you want to learn the insider secrets to welcoming more abundance, more love, and more happiness into your life from some of the world's most inspiring personal growth gurus? Then be sure to click the link below now to subscribe to the Inspiration Show community and be one of the first to find out about brand new episodes of the show. You're absolutely going to love what we have coming up in store for you. Plus, you'll instantly receive a free copy of my Manifesting with the Masters video e-course featuring some of the biggest stars from the movie The Secret, teaching you how to manifest your dream life faster and easier than you ever thought possible. So to get your free copy, be sure to click on the link below now. I'm Natalie Ledwell. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, remember to live large, choose courageously, and love without limits. I'll see you soon.